Yo, what is up everyone? Back here with another video. This could be a very different kind of video that I'm going to be bringing to you guys. Typically my videos are more focused around, I guess more so reviewing the meta, talking about certain stuff like that. In this video, I actually want to take you guys through something that has been highly requested on the YouTube channel, which is going through an actual battle, talking about my thought process specifically in team preview, and I'm also going to throw in the bonus of an entire battle in there. I'm going to be playing this game on my Sword and Shield cart. So pretty much we can talk through the full process. You get the experience of seeing it in cart. And this is kind of nice because during stream, obviously, I do explain when someone asks me a question like why I did something. But for the most part, obviously, the whole point is to entertain beyond, obviously showing you guys battles. So in this video, it's going to kind of go more into depth of how I approach a game and how I think it's most successful to kind of approach a game and kind of go through that with you guys. So with no further ado, we're going to go here, not the party. We're going to be using the Zacian Yveltal team. A lot of people have been asking me questions about this team anyways, so I figured it's a really good team to use. I've already used this team to get number 1 3 times in a row, right? So this is pretty much going to be a pretty good summary, I guess, of how I want to approach it. But like also too, we're going to probably play versus a decent opponent because we're so high rated. So, interesting thing to note, especially in cartridge, is that since it's best of 1 and you don't really have information, right? It kind of skews, I guess, a little bit how you would approach it. This is perfect. We're playing versus number 14, okay? So, let's take a look at this matchup at face value, okay? So, first off, they have a Grimmsnarl, Zacian, Kyogre, Rotom Heat, Urshifu, Seismitoad. Now, at face value, Gastrodon does look really good into this. Now, there are a couple things that we need to consider that could be problematic, right? First off, Seismitoad can have Power Whip, so we need to successfully bait properly here, and we need to make sure we're leading properly to deal with any situation. We also need to make sure that we have enough respect for the other partners, specifically the Rotom Heat as well. So what I'm thinking is in this matchup, I don't think we want Yveltal, mostly because it's pressured too much by Grimmsnarl, Zacian, and Rotom Heat. Also, it's not really doing too much in the Seismitoad, right? I think leading Zacian is good because it can pressure the Grimmsnarl immediately. Also can pressure Behemoth Blade onto any target. We have a Landorus here, which is going to allow us to intimidate the Seismitoad lead or intimidate the Zacian lead, right? We're going to keep Gastrodon in the back as a defensive swap. This is going to allow us to play a bit more defensively and put us in a good position. Maybe we will take Yveltal. Yveltal is good into the Seismitoad. It's good into the Urshifu. It's good into the Kyogre, kind of. Pretty much it's just a decision between whether you want the Rotom. The Rotom is basically able to match up in the Zacian better, or if you want the Grimmsnarl even to try and set screens. I'm actually going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to lead with Landorus, Grimmsnarl. Oof. Okay, rush that a little bit. The reason why I want to lead with Landorus Grimmsnarl is it's going to let us get Intimidate down immediately, and we're going to get screens up immediately. Then what we're going to do is we're going to have a pivot into our own Zacian on the Landorus slot. We're going to have a pivot in the Gastrodon. And basically what this does is it makes it a little bit more annoying for like Seismitoad and Kyogre, because they can't really get as much offense going immediately, right? So we'll see what they do here. Okay, so it is a Zacian and a Kyogre lead. Now, obviously, we have to be a little bit careful here because there is a decent amount of pressure. But when we're going through this turn 1, the one thing we want to pay attention to is the order of abilities. So Zacian's obviously is going to go off first. Intimidate went off first, and now Drizzle's going to go off. So what that shows us is that the Kyogre is actually a little bit slower. So that's actually pretty helpful for us because now we know that we are going to be able to outspeed the Kyogre with the Landorus. This doesn't necessarily mean we're going to max the Landorus, but it's important information to retain for later. Two different ways we can approach this. First way is we immediately go for damage and try and KO Zacian with a Thunder Wave plus Quake. That's a little bit riskier, but typically the opponents wouldn't expect it, right? Because it's a little aggressive in front of a Kyogre. Or we can play a bit more defensive. In this case, I want to opt for a bit more of the defensive play because it's going to allow us to reposition here. We're going to go for Reflect. This Grimmsnarl is calculated to live the Behemoth Blade behind the Reflect. And we're going to bring in Gastrodon here to eat up a Water Spout and get a free boost from it. This is also really good because it covers for any potential swaps, so we can kind of see what's going on there. And then we can kind of adjust from there. See, if we had Max Quaked here, it would have been really bad. So it was actually a little bit better to play safe here. Light Screen could have been fine as well. I think that would have been a little bit greedy, though, because then we wouldn't have a Reflect to deal with the Zacian. So, honestly, I feel like this is okay. The nice thing here is that they're actually maxing their Kyogre, which is incredibly risky for them, right? Because if they go for something like a Max Geyser here, that is absolutely just going to be the end of the Kyogre's usefulness, right? Because now you're boosting the Gastrodon here, which is kind of annoying, and it's going to make it a little more difficult for you to deal with. If there's a Hailstorm coming out, that's okay for them because then they're going to get some damage on our Gastrodon. But here we're getting a pretty free Reflect Up, which is nice, and we can kind of play from there. Hailstorm comes out. That's okay. It's going in the Gastrodon. Should do half. Yeah, about half. At this point too, right, like, they're using up their Dynamax early, and Dynamax is, like, a really important resource, I guess, to keep active as long as you can. So they are kind of giving up one of their best tools at this point. Now, one thing we need to be conscious of is removing this Rotom before we have our own Zacian on the field, because Rotom is actually pretty difficult. Now, there are two ways to neutralize this Rotom. We can get a Yawn on it and put it to sleep, or we can play as if we're just going to recover our Gastro. We're going to play a little more passive here and get up a Light Screen. Then we're going to start Spirit Breaking into things and playing it a bit slower. I kind of like the slower approach, mostly because it lets us adjust to whatever we want to deal with. Some Rotoms don't even run Nasty Plot, so kind of just lets us scout out what's going on, and then we can kind of play from there. So, Light Screen here. If there's a double in the Gastro and Gastro gets KO'd, that's okay, because it's going to give us a free swap in the Landorus. We're still going to be able to exert pressure that way, so... Okay, Overheat. If we live this double up, we're going to be in a really good spot. If we don't live this double up, it's going to be tricky, right? I wouldn't really assume we live this double up based on the range. But the thing is they're committing so many resources into this, there's a good chance we might even live. Oh, it's a Max Strike. Interesting, okay. So our Max Strike on the Kyogre. This is probably Assault Vest Kyogre as well. That's probably worth noting here. Okay, so here what we're going to do is we're going to bring in Zacian, I think. Either bring in Zacian or Landorus here. See, my hesitation with Landorus is that more so, like, it's just susceptible to Max Hailstorm, right? We can go for a... Because we want to sweep with Landorus. That's, like, the endgame goal. We're going to bring in Zacian here. I kind of want to see what the Rotom has access to. I want to Spirit Break it maybe once. Or swap our Landorus in for the Grimmsnarl and kind of play from there. Let's see. What is the chance that they're running Will-O-Wisp? And if they get a Will-O-Wisp on us, is that bad? Because honestly, from what I can see, we should be able to exert enough offense, right? So here, what we're going to do is we're going to go for a Protect, I think. We're just going to kind of scout out what the Rotom wants to do. And what we're going to do here is we're going to actually get a Spirit Break, I think, off onto the Rotom. This is going to kind of neutralize the damage. We could even Thunder Wave here. Honestly, I would feel confident playing a little bit more aggressive. Because if they Geyser here, it's not really great for them. Also, too, we could even Thunder Wave here to kind of mess with the Ogre. Because, like, it's going to be annoying for it, right? Okay, cool. Rotom swaps. That's really good that we played aggressive then. Seismitoad comes out here. Okay, interesting. So we're going to Thunder Wave into the Kyogre, which is good. And there's a chance that doesn't get to move. If it doesn't move, that's going to be really good for us. That's a lot of damage. Max Geyser comes out. They're probably trying to enable the Seismitoad. Yep. And this is fine. See, what we're trying to do is we're trying to set up a Landorus sweep in the back, right? So it's okay if we're making them use up their resources a little bit right now, because now they're paralyzed on the Kyogre. The Kyogre is not really that threatening. We have the Grimmsnarl behind screen, still full health, right? This is really annoying for Kyogre, because Kyogre doesn't really want to be slower. Here what we're going to do is we're going to protect the Spirit Break. The reason why we're going to do this, if we remove Seismitoad, Landorus plus Zacian kind of just sweeps, right? Also, there's just a chance that Grimmsnarl is going to live this turn anyways. And what you can do is you can just Thunder Wave then into the Zacian if it comes out here, right? So we have a lot of options. Just gonna protect here, keep ourselves safe. I don't think there's Earthquake. It's probably Stomping Tantrum. Liquidation. So they did call that we were going to protect here, which is okay. That's fine because we're enabling the final endgame with the two Pokemon we want. Kyogre's paralyzed. That's really good for us as well. Okay. And now this is good because we're going to have Thunder Wave pressure, right? Now, having Thunder Wave pressure is actually really huge because it's going to put us in a position basically where we can Thunder Wave into the opposing Zacian and slow it down so Landorus just straight out speeds, right? And that's like obviously something the opposing Zacian doesn't want. What we're going to do here though is we're going to actually target this Kyogre because we notice that the Kyogre is running 4 coverage moves, so it's not really running anything that can protect itself. Even if Zacian comes in on that slot, it's not really great for it. And we're going to go for a Spirit Break here into the Rotom. The main reason why we want to do this is just because by chipping down the Ogre, we kind of ensure that our Landorus will be in a good position to switch. Unfortunately, there's an ally switch in play, which, well, whatever. Kind of have to now rely a little bit more on, what's it called? Not dying to this water spout. But if we do, I mean, you know, okay, nice Zacian lives. All right, this is good. Obviously, that was nice that we lived. That just shows you how bulky Zacian's really good on this team. But also, too, like, you can't really always prep for ally switch. You just have to do your best to, like, consistently approach it, right? Like, we didn't know there was ally switch, so we had to play like that information wasn't in play. So that was kind of the main goal there. Now, the nice thing here is that we actually have quite a bit of pressure to exert. The main reason why I say that is because you'll see here, I mean, like, yes, they have a Rotom in play, right? But, like, it's unlikely they're going to ally switch again, and even if they do, like, anything is going to get chunked, and, like, getting the Airstream advantage here is, like, super huge. Also, there's a chance that Kyogre gets paralyzed. The reason why I'm just going to Airstream and split the damage here is, one, because Sacred Sword and Airstream would just KO both, or at least put the Kyogre in a really low range. And also, two, they're unlikely to click ally switch twice. It's kind of like a mentality thing, but people usually don't click ally switch twice. They kind of expect you to cover for it a second time and then don't click it. So typically I always play like they're not going to ally switch the second time. So okay, Zacian comes in. If Airstream KOs Kyogre here, we pretty much win, right? We're in a really good spot. That should pretty much guarantee us the game. If we don't KO here, it's a little bit shakier, right? Because now we have to kind of worry about other stuff. Now, the good thing is, with Paralysis and Origin Pulse misses in play, there's actually a pretty favorable chance that Kyogre won't get its Origin Pulse off on at least one of the Pokemon. Preferably, obviously, not going to happen to Zacian, right? Because you don't really want Zacian to go down here. What we could have also done here, honestly, is double targeted into the Kyogre slot. That also would have been decent, but I wanted to split the damage here because I was kind of confident we could get 2 KOs. All right, Airstream comes out. Kyogre lives, so that's, like, not the best. We'll have to see how the turn goes. Like I said, it's favorable that they're not going to be able to get the damage off. They could have also just gone for a Water Spout here, but there's also a chance to get paralyzed, right? We go for a Water Spout, they go for the safe move. Now we need to play in, because Landorus is still really threatening here, right? We need to play with these certain turns in mind. So obviously they have the potential to swap the Rotom, which is super threatening. The Zacian is in a position where it is chipped substantially, and Kyogre cannot protect, right? So now we need to be picking our moves very carefully, and we kind of need to call it what they do. It is very obvious for me to target into Kyogre here and ignore the Zacian, because Zacian has the potential to protect, and Zacian also has the potential of swapping the Rotom. That being said, it's still a 50-50, but like I said, I like to make the play the more obvious play, because a lot of times your opponents will assume that you're better. If this doesn't work, that's fine. We'll reflect on this game after. But you'll see they went for the obvious play, right? Or they went for the not obvious play, right? Because they kind of expected us to play it a bit better. Now, the good thing is here is because the Kyogre is paralyzed, there's actually a pretty good like chance that's not going to move. So that's pretty useful for us. Also, too, we also have the potential of getting a Rock Fall off right onto the Rotom. Even if we take a bunch of damage this turn, we're still in a position where we can still win, right? Rain stops. That's really good for us because we're taking less damage. And also, too, now Rotom is in a tricky position because it basically wants the ally switch. Now, we have 2 ways we can approach this, okay? If we're confident Rock Slide puts the Rotom in range of, what's it called? You know, if the Rock Slide will get Rotom, then we should Max Guard this turn, and then we should Rock Slide, right? If we're not confident in that fact, let me actually check right here. Okay, no Reflect Up, right? We are fully healthy. See, like, I feel confident with that chance, right? Because realistically, Landorus is pretty strong. So max guarding here is actually the optimal play because you can get the Rock Slide off and you should be able to KO both of them theoretically. Rotom's clicking Nasty Plot here, which is really smart. Landorus T. I'll even do the calculation on the side, right? So this here, Rock Slide. It's going to be 220, I think it is, on the Landorus. It's going to be Jolly. It's going to be Rock Slide. It's going to be Life Orb. Yeah, this should do more than enough damage, assuming that we did our calculations right. Obviously, this relies on us not missing, but that's just Pokemon. Unfortunately, what did we miss? Okay, now it's just if Overheat lands or not. That's unfortunate, but like you guys kind of see, like we put ourselves in a position where that should always KO. I'll double check the calculation actually, but that should KO. You know, you get unlucky sometimes, but that's Pokemon. I'm actually still going to show this game anyways. I was going to reset, like, and maybe redo the video if I thought the game wasn't that great, because, you know, I do want to give you guys a good indication of this. But, like, in this case, this was a game where we literally just lost because we missed. If you look at I actually have a calculation up here. I was kind of checking while we were waiting. Rock Slide actually KOs the Rotom here, right? Because if you look, oh, actually, I guess I didn't give it the same proper EVs, huh? 252. You'll see that it does like 54 to 64%, and honestly, that Rotom kind of looked like it was in range, and I just eyeballed it. Obviously, you can't tell the exact range, but it was like just above half, right? So it looks like it's pretty favorable for us to KO there, so I felt pretty confident going for the KO, you know? Obviously, unfortunately, it didn't work out there, but hopefully that shows you guys where you can kind of approach these games and kind of focus your mentality towards them. You know, we'll even do one more on top of that, just to give you guys another example. If you guys, by the way, if you guys find videos like this helpful, make sure to let me know, because I definitely think it contributes something to someone's mental like thought process, kind of everything. And hopefully this video kind of lets you guys see a little bit more into how I approach the game, you know, and answers the question that you guys like ask me all the time, like, oh, how do you approach team previews, stuff like that, you know. But yeah, while we wait for this game, I mean, going over that previous game, I think that the main thing that could have gone into play was just maybe us being a little bit more careful with the Kyogre. I kind of assumed that we were going to get the KO in the Kyogre that turn. What we should have done is we should have probably doubled into the like Kyogre slot, because what that does is that ensures that we would get the KO there and like it wouldn't be able to do much. Now we're playing versus a weird team. This is a good example, I guess, of adjusting versus weird teams. So at face value, without knowing anything about this team, there are a couple different approaches they can go with. They can go with the Mimikyu Trick Room mode, which is like Fake Out Sableye plus like Mimikyu Trick Room. They can go with the Solgaleo mode, which is probably like Side Shadow Sneak plus Weakness Policy, or they can go with the Thundurus mode. So into this match, straight up, Rotom looks really good, especially next to Grimmsnarl. I can get screens up early. I can spread Will-O-Wisps. Pretty confident that that would be fun. Also, too, Zacian is still really incredibly good here. The one thing we have to be careful of is Entei, which we're going to take Landorus to cover for. The reason why we don't want Gastrodon here is it's a little too passive, and there's no water types for it to really take advantage of. And Yveltal's also a little bit too passive here, specifically into the Entei and Thundurus, right? And less so Entei, more so like Thundurus, and also if it's caught out of position by Calyrex is kind of worse. At least Landorus can like protect, right? So we're going to do that. But yeah, I've been seeing a lot of random Calyrex Ice teams kind of running around. They kind of have like this weird, they usually have like weird gimmicks on them or something, right? They're like certain approaches that they do. So I'm kind of curious to see what this one's is. The nice thing here is that realistically into this matchup, or like these matchups particularly, you can kind of get an idea of what their teams are going to be like before you like, you know, even approach the game. So we're going to see a Solgaleo and Sableye late here. So the one thing that we have to be careful of is there is the potential of something like a Fake Out coming out here. In this case, honestly, I feel pretty comfortable just clicking Will-O-Wisp and Reflect. Either way, I'm going to get a beneficial turn out of this, and I'm going to be able to reduce the damage from them incoming. Now, the nice thing as well here is that if they target into my Grimmsnarl and remove it, like Fake Out, double it, I get a Wisp off here, their Solgaleo Max is useless. If they go for a side target or whatever, I also have a way to play around that. But they're actually just going straight on the offense here. So they're going for Leer. That's really interesting. I think if they had maxed here, it might have been a little bit better, but definitely interesting to see. I wonder if they Sunsteel Strike. No, they go for a Rock Slide here. Rotom avoids, which is really good because it means we're going to be taking less damage in this case. I guess they also didn't want to commit because they were kind of worried that they could get burned, which obviously just happened. This kind of eliminates Solgaleo as like a max option for them, right? That's like incredibly nice on our end. They actually are Lumberry. Okay, interesting. Okay, so if they're going for Leer here, there is a potential that a Rockfall just comes out at this point. I'm actually going to play it a little bit safer. There is a really good chance a Rockfall comes out here, actually. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go in the Zacian here, and we're going to go for a Thunder Wave, I think, into the Solgaleo. Now, this obviously isn't the burn that we wanted on it, but the reason why we need the Thunder Wave is because a Rockfall's likely coming into our Rotom here. Swapping in the Zacian covers for that Rockfall. Like a Steel move wouldn't really make sense in a Rotom, or like Quake wouldn't really make sense in a Rotom, so they're probably not going to click it. The probability of them clicking is very low. Also, too, this allows us to get Zacian in freely to remove the Sableye, which is a little bit annoying here, and then we can get to the back faster. Also, too, if Grimmsnarl gets KO'd, then we have the potential of a max Rotom even, and now that we know they're Lum, we don't have to be worried about a Weakness Policy being proc. So, just a couple things that came into play there that are just really nice. Okay. Intrepid Sword, that's fine. All right, they're gonna max their Solgaleo now, especially now that they know what our item is. I wonder if we had gone for a Thunder Wave and we had gone for a Will-O-Wisp there, that would have been a really good situation. But we would never make that play if we know their item, right? So like the Reflect in the Will-O-Wisp was definitely a safer play. Also too, oh, that's really unfortunate. I wish the games we were showing we had a bit better luck, but I guess it kind of shows you how we can kind of play out of bad situations, hopefully. But they go for Rockfall here at least, so it's not like the worst value ever because they're kind of wasting a max turn anyways, right? What we're going to do is we're going to paralyze the Solgaleo for sure. It also gives us a chance that they're just not going to be able to attack, which kind of ruins the value of any of their moves. What we're going to do here is we're going to play rough in the Sableye. Even if it Will-O-Wisps us, which is obviously a really high possibility, we get it off the field and it kind of gives us the Mon advantage. Even if Zacian gets KO here, honestly, Rotom Heat's the more important asset in this game. So that's the thing I'm more so focused on protecting. Also, they definitely didn't bring Thunders here because they committed their max to the Solgaleo, right? And if they did bring Thunders, it's useless, right? So... Alright, Thunder Wave comes out. We finally connect this time. It would have been nice if we had gotten the light screen up, but, you know, can't always control that. Will-O-Wisp probably comes out here. Oh, no Will-O-Wisp. Okay, cool. This is actually really good for us then because we were able to KO the Sableye and no burn. Now, obviously, a Quake could just come out here and just kill us. But, you know. Okay, they decided to target Grim. That's valid. I mean, we got the value we needed out of Grim at this point, honestly. I'm pretty happy with that turn, mostly, too, because even if they want to go for a Max Quake, they're kind of in a weird position. I would almost like to bring in the Landorus here, and that might sound a little weird, but even if they bring out Calyrex here, right, like, it's still pressured by the Zacian, and what Landorus is going to match up better to is the Entei, right, and we can kind of immediately prioritize that, so I kind of like that better. Mimikyu, okay, interesting. So, I feel like what we're going to do here, honestly, so, like, they could Steel Spike here, right, but, like, because they're Trick Room, they probably have Calyrex in the back. What I'm gonna do here is I'm actually gonna swap into Rotom here, and I'm going to go for a Earthquake because it's gonna get some good chip on the Solgaleo. What's also gonna do is it's not gonna allow them to go for a Max Quake into Zacian because we kind of want to preserve Zacian in this scenario, right? Also, too, Rotom can just do a lot versus the Calyrex in the back, especially if we max it. So, kind of nice option there. Let's just get some good chip on Solgaleo as well. So, okay, that's fine. Actually, without a Max Quake boost, I think that's in range of Max Flare, which is pretty good for us. So, we'll have to see about that. Okay. What comes out here? Steel Spike, perfect. That's fine. That's going to go into the Rotom slot. Oh, that's even better. Because Rotom just eats that up. Yeah, and now we're in a really good spot, right? Because we kind of just pressure with Max Flare here. What we're going to do is we're going to cycle our Zacian back in for Lando. This allows us to save Intimidate to kind of do it into the Calyrex. In the back, so this should be a really good spot for us. This is at the point too where we max Rotom because realistically Solgaleo is not threatening us with any damage. All I can do is Rock Slide. It's not weakness policy, so it doesn't really matter. Calyrex comes in, it just gets flared. So, and it sets the sun for us to even pressure it more, right? So here what we're gonna do is we're gonna swap into Zacian here. Obviously Landorus, is more valuable to preserve here because it gets the Intimidate down and it supports the Rotom max. So yeah. Considering we missed the T-Wave early, it didn't actually make that much of a difference, I guess. So that's, like, nice. But I was kind of worried it was going to, like, set us behind a little too much. But it ended up working out fine. So we're going to go for the Flare here. Okay. Max Flare from our Rotom into the Solgaleo puts us in a position where pretty much we can just pressure with another Max Flare into Calyrex. Realistically, there shouldn't be too many problems we have at this point. Also, we have a Reflect Up, right? So we're taking even less damage anyways, so it's kind of just completely neutralizing this Calyrex. Yeah, Rock Slide comes out here, Zacian eats it fine. Doesn't really matter. Will-O-Wisp, that was expected, right? Like, that's a very unsurprising turn from Mimikyu, I feel like. Unsurprising, not surprising, I don't know. Flare comes out here, I mean, yeah, of course. Okay. And now it should be Calyrex in the back, unless they brought something else, but I don't really think that makes sense. It could have Entei, maybe. But Entei wouldn't really be doing well against our Rotom anyways, because we can just Max Lightning it twice, right? Like, they already used up their max, and this just kind of shows you how, like, saving your max for late game is really crucial as well. It can actually make a huge difference in how your game works out or goes. Okay, it's fine. Teams to nervous eat berries. Unfortunately, we are not eating any berries here, so it kind of sucks for them. Here we're going to go into Landorus. It's just going to let us get another Intimidate down. They're unlikely to go for a Glacial Lance anyways. I mean, I guess they could if they're fishing for a crit. Realistically, not going to make too much of a difference here. And Intimidate, getting down on top of the Reflect, even if they got their weakness policy from Shadow Sneak Mimikyu, doesn't really matter. And Mimikyu's not pressuring us anyways, right? So we can kind of just ignore it. But yeah, this just kind of shows you, like, Rotom Heat can really be good in certain matchups, right? Yeah, he's probably going to go for a Glacial Ensign at this point. Unless he has, like, something like Zen Headbutt and, like, maybe tries to crit the Rotom. But I don't even think that would do enough, right? Like, Rotom's just so bulky. Yeah, they go for Glacial Lance. It's fine. Landorus was very expendable here, right? We literally just needed to KO the Calyrex. That was it. I mean, like, they're at +2, but realistically, like, Rotom's just gonna kind of eat them alive, right? And they're gone. Nice. So that was I felt like a really well executed game, kind of showing you how to play against the weirder teams. And then you had a loss, but, well, I mean, albeit a bit unlucky, still kind of showed you guys how you want to approach, like, certain matchups, right? Like, putting yourselves in good positions. And you saw how, like, one missed targeting error can, like, mess you up in the previous game, right? Like, us not double targeting the Kyogre there was a mistake, right? Like, that was definitely something we could have done better. And that's something to, like, learn from. Because we didn't put ourselves in the perfect position to get, like, to not get unlucky, I guess. If that makes sense. Pokemon is a lot about mitigating your luck and kind of your thought process here, you know. Sometimes it's very difficult to explain, I guess, to someone watching the stream. So hopefully this was good. I was trying to talk through my moves as much as possible, and hopefully this helped you guys kind of understand how I like to approach the game. As always, guys, if you guys enjoy this kind of content, hopefully you guys can still hear me. If you guys enjoy this kind of content, please make sure to support me on Patreon. I incredibly appreciate it. All the support from the people there. Super help. Also, to make sure to check out coaching if you guys would like me to work with you one-on-one to improve your skills. Also, to please check out the Twitch. I stream there pretty much like every day, or like almost every day, ladder. So it's fun, you know. But yeah, thank you guys so much, as always, for support. I incredibly appreciate it. Hopefully this was helpful. Let me know in the comments if this was helpful for you, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.